Hello and welcome. I am Nancy Jo Lambert. I am at Nancy Jo Lambert on Twitter. I am also the Texas Library Association District 5 chairperson, and I'm also the Texas Library Association Children's Roundtable chair-elect. This conference session is a part of our Next Generation Librarians online conference. It's a joint conference between Texas Library Association District 5 and District 7. We are providing some professional development sessions today on behalf of TLA to our TLA District 5 and District 7 people, but also to anyone else that finds this website or finds these PD sessions through Twitter or anywhere else. So we are excited for you to join us today. We are going to be talking about making Twitter your PLN, or your professional learning network. Now, a lot of you that are on Twitter today and are watching this session may not be that helpful for you because we are going to be speaking to people who may be watching this at a later date, and they are curious about Twitter and how it can be useful to them professionally. So whether you are a school librarian, an academic librarian, a special librarian, or a public librarian, Twitter is a great place for you to be involved as a professional, because you will be able to determine what kind of professional development you need and find people on Twitter to follow that are doing the same things as you, that are in the same roles as you, or even I follow all kinds of people. I follow public librarians, I follow some academic and special librarians who have blogs that I follow. So a lot of the people that I find to follow on Twitter, I find through their blogs. And then I also follow a lot of people in education, not just librarians, but also teachers and principals and assistant principals and instructional coaches and technology people and superintendents, anybody that is going to contribute to my learning on a daily basis. So I seek people out on Twitter who are going to inspire me and who are going to help me when I'm at a loss for what to do, or I'm feeling like I need a new idea. So in keeping with that theme, our co-presenters today are Tina Baruman, Donna Ford, and Cynthia Alaniz, all of which are my TL BFFs, or my teacher librarian best friends forever. We have our own hashtag on Twitter that we use. And I met all three of these ladies through Twitter. I would not know them. They would not be in my life probably had I not found them on Twitter. And we are kind of a collective group of educational soulmates, if you will. That's a term that Matthew Winter and threw out there. So we found each other on Twitter, and we kind of support one another that way. So I'm going to let each of the three of them, in just a little bit, we're going to let them talk about their experiences with Twitter and the power of Twitter. But I do want to talk to you as well about Twitter. So Twitter is a social network, and once you get on Twitter, if you don't have a Twitter account, you can set up a Twitter account by just going to twitter.com. I encourage people to set up their Twitter account with their handle. So my handle is at Nancy Jo Lambert, but I encourage account with some form of their name in there. Some people use their libraries or other names, which is totally fine. You can do it however you want, but people will recognize you by your handle, so it's really helpful to have a handle with your name. If you are tweeting from your library on behalf of your library, you can set up an account for your library, but just think about if you switch libraries or you change libraries, that then your Twitter handle is attached to your library. So I encourage people instead to set up professional accounts with their name, and then after you set it up with your name, to establish a hashtag for your library, because then you can tweet to that hashtag, others can tweet to the hashtag, and then that conversation stays open all the time on the hashtag. You can follow hashtags on Twitter no matter what kind of library you're in. You can follow a hashtag on Twitter simply by typing in the hashtag in Twitter, and then you'll be able to follow that hashtag. So, for instance, today, our hashtag for this conference is NextGenLib. So I can type in NextGenLib right here, and then I can pull up all the tweets from this hashtag. So here are all the tweets from our hashtag for today. And I can go in, and even people that I'm not following, I can go in and see what other people are tweeting to this hashtag just by looking at the hashtag, even if it's people I'm not following. You can also, I want to point out that it's really important on Twitter that who you follow is everything. It doesn't matter who's following you, but who you follow is everything, because the people that you follow will be the tweets that you see. So you want to see tweets from people who are going to contribute to your learning, who are going to inspire you, who are going to provide you with that professional development that you need. So who you follow is the most important thing about Twitter. So you're going to find people to follow by visiting those hashtags. Whenever you visit those hashtags, you'll be able to see people, and you'll be able to click on them and determine if there's someone that you want to follow or not. So I'm going to, at this time, I'm going to turn over the presentation to one of my TLBFFs, and I'm going to let them kind of talk about the power of Twitter and how it's impacted them. So TLBFFs, who would like to go first?
Donna would.
Go, great.
All right, Donna, tag team, you're in it.
Woo, Donna.
Hashtag President Ford.
Whatever. Okay, well, each day I learn so much from my PLN on Twitter. It's very important, like Nancy just said, to follow the right people, because really what I'm looking for is to be able to grow each day. So I do follow a wide range of people, because looking at it from different points of view helps me grow. I will follow technology people, I will follow administrators, I will follow teachers and librarians, I will follow bookstore owners, just anybody that I think can help me grow. I've been known to get on Twitter in the morning and completely change what I'm going to do that day based on a tweet or two that came through. Say it again?
I said true story.
That is very true. I learned so much, but I've also made such great connections, and it's amazing to me how even before you meet someone face to face, you can feel connected to them through Twitter and your PLN. As Nancy Jo was saying, the four of us met on Twitter, and the first time we met was at TLA in person, where we presented a lovely, lovely poster session. Wish we had a picture of the poster. Loved it. But it was so, I mean, we already felt like we knew each other based on the conversations. And once you connect with people on Twitter, they usually take, you usually do Google Hangouts, or you do a Skype visit. I have some librarians that are in my PLN that then I will send them a message to say, hey, can we Skype so I can learn more about, a certain project that they're doing in their library? Or can we Skype so we can figure out ways to connect our classes? There are several librarians this year that I'm connecting with on a regular basis to share ideas. And all of those things are made possible through the connections that we make on Twitter. There you go. There was my first. Who's next?
So hold on. Before we go, Shauna, do you want to talk about one of the impactful experiences you've had because of something that you found on Twitter? I know you mentioned earlier about the GHO with Zoo Atlanta.
That was our very first Google Hangout. And what had happened was it's always been a goal of mine to create global connections for my kiddos. And so I started Skyping pretty early in my library career. I mean, probably the first year I started Skyping with my kids. And then teachers started realizing the power of that, and a teacher came and asked me if I could set up a Skype. They had just read The One and Only Ivan, and so she wanted to set up a Skype with the zoo where Ivan was. And so I contacted them, and they said, no, I'm sorry, we don't do Skypes right now. But if that changes, we'll be in contact. Well, within a week, they were in contact with me, and they had decided to do a Google Hangout with the caretakers of Ivan. And they invited 10 schools to join. Our school was one of them. Now, there were hundreds of schools that were able to view the Google Hangout live, but our school was actually one of the schools on the bottom, just like we are today. And the kiddos were able to ask questions. They were able to see pictures and really make a connection with the caretaker and the people at the zoo. And it really made a meaningful connection between them and the book. And that was, like I said, that was our first Google Hangout. We had Skyped a lot, but that was our first Google Hangout where the kiddos really realized how, as Andy said earlier in his keynote about the one-time connections for special events, those are fabulous. They're fun, they're wonderful. They give our kids exposure to other schools, and they're really just a neat way to practice the whole connecting. But when you start making those meaningful connections on a regular basis, or to support something that they're doing in the classroom, it really takes it to another level. Is that good?
Shauna?
Okay.
All right, so who wants to go next?
Vice President Tina.
No way. Okay, so for me, Twitter kind of started several years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, whenever I first started going to TCEA and TLA, and I used Twitter then as just a means of following people that were presenting that I was really, really impressed with, or just sites that I wanted to remember, or people that I had met from different districts and things like that. And I really never used it beyond that until about 3 years ago. I had just moved to a new district, and I knew that I was going to be the new kid, and I really wanted to find out very quickly who the connected educators were in my district. And then I realized that Twitter was like just a fire hose of PD 24/7, and I was able to find librarians who were very like-minded, and they were very progressive and techie, and who I was really going to learn from, and I wasn't going to have to wait until TLA or TCA the following year before I started meeting new librarians who were doing the same things in their library program that's wanting to do in my library program. So for me, Twitter has just been the most amazing resource to meeting people, not just locally in our districts here in Dallas-Fort Worth, but across the state and across the country. And it was actually a way how I met one of our new librarians who moved across Texas to join us in my district. I met her through Twitter and followed her for about a year and was just really impressed with the things she was doing in her library. And when we had an opening, I instantly thought about her, and because of that, without Twitter, I wouldn't have ever met her, and she wouldn't be in our district and doing the amazing things that she's doing on her campus. So for me, that's kind of been how Twitter has helped me professionally.
And I want to jump in here and make the point that, like, this conference today that's happening online, the main way that people are finding out about it and are joining the conference is through Twitter. And this happens all the time. There were a couple of conferences that happened this week online that I found out they were happening solely from Twitter. So I was able to join in because I just got on Twitter and I saw, tweets for certain things. And conferences that happen across the world all the time, you can follow their hashtags, and people will be posting photos conference presentation links and everything. So you can attend and find out about so many different things just by following a hashtag and watching what people are tweeting. Point that you don't just have to wait for your annual conferences to come around in your state or your area, that you can actually get on all the time and see different conferences from different states or countries or online conferences just from being on Twitter. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to my TLBFF, Cynthia.
Hello.
Hello.
I would like to just say that Twitter has been an amazing learning tool for me. And can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. It's been a great learning tool for me because I love libraries, I love books, and I love learning. And so Twitter has been the way I've been able to access learning for all of those subjects in my life. I would say I can remember the time I got onto Twitter, and it was at Camp Dallas. And that was, I remember just all starting to follow hashtags and all the learning that I just saw pouring through. And I think I followed the ed tech community first. And then I started getting connected to, because of my love of reading and books, I found an amazing community called #NerdyBookClub, and they are an amazing group of readers who are educators, librarians, teachers, principals. They just love reading, and I found a new community there to share my love of books with, and they love books and sharing books with kids, and so that just opened up a whole new area for me. And I had always done that. I always shared books with my students throughout the years, but this just showed me a new possibility. So I think that's what Twitter does, is it opens up a window into the world of what you can do, and it gives you the courage to try things from your side. Because you know someone else has done it, and they're there constantly for your help. And just like you said, Nancy, following hashtags because I can follow conferences even when it's out there. So the reading is made by the main thing for me, and I love sharing books and learning about books from other readers in the Kidlit community. So also, the PLBFF community has meant so much to me as well, because I can learn from you, and we can share things that we're doing in our library. And TLA was a great conference for me to go to because of my TLBFFs and knowing that I would know someone when I got there. So I would just continue to say that it was an amazing community. If you just need to find your own pocket, community there to connect with, and learn with, and they can just show you what's possible.
All right, thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
So I think something too that Cynthia brings to the table is that I know for me, I find out what other people are reading, all the great new books that are coming out. Cynthia is one of my main sources for that. I think Tina and Shauna would agree with me there. And also, a cool thing about Twitter is so many authors and publishers and people are on Twitter, and you can connect with authors. I mean, I've had authors that don't follow me, that wouldn't know me from Adam, but because I tweet to them and let them know that their contribution to young adult literature, that their contribution meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to my readers in my library, or even to my own children. I think that when you are on Twitter, you can find those authors and you can find those publishers, and I just tweet out to them in the moment that I'm reading something, or in the moment that I finish reading something, and I'm so excited. And I think that the authors and the publishers love to hear that and love to be a part of our librarian community. So I think no matter what kind of librarian you are, you can find authors, publishers, people that are a part of the stakeholder, your stakeholders, the patrons that you serve, and be a source of a connection between your patrons and those authors and publishers. So I think that that's another powerful way that Twitter can impact libraries and library services, no matter what kind of library you're in. Anything you want to add to that, Cynthia?
The authors on Twitter are amazing. I can remember my first year on Twitter after the one and only Elegant had been published. That book is just an amazing book. Our class was able to write Catherine Applegate, and I cannot tell you how important that moment was for my kids, because they learned so much just from seeing her live, learning from her, and they knew she wasn't just a name on the book cover person. She was able to even give my kids a writing workshop. And I'll never forget that moment. The next summer, when I was able to attend the American Library Association conference, I was able to meet her in person and make that connection with her, and I was just so grateful. And that moment would not have been possible had it not been for Twitter or the community of readers that I've connected to. So I'm so grateful to readers for all they share. They not only write our kids to connect with, but they also share, and that is just amazing. I'll never be able to thank you enough.
I was just going to add something real quick. And I think maybe if we all mute our mic, because I'm hearing feedback right now. So if we all mute, that might help. But one of the things that has been great is that what y'all are saying, my kids can read a book and they can come into the library and they can be really excited about it, and I can tweet to the author and the author will respond. I mean, and that's so powerful for our readers. Back in the day, you would have to write a letter and mail it off and hope that somebody would respond. But with Twitter, it's just almost instantaneous for our kids. They get immediate feedback, and it gets them excited. In addition to that, if I have a group of kids who are loving the series, I can tweet to the author and possibly set up a Skype or a Google Hangout with that author, and they'll give us 10 or 15 minutes of their time to talk about the book. Maybe they have a new series coming out. We visited with Julie Sternberg recently about her new series. My kids were loving The False Prince and those books, and so we were able to Skype with Jennifer Nielsen. It's fabulous when you can connect your kids to the authors who are writing those books, because I think that in. And then even through Twitter you find out about events that are going on. I found out about the Lemony Snicket live event recently, last week, and had some 4th grade boys come in during lunch, and I only did boys because the week before we had done girls for Julie Sternberg. But it helps them get excited about books, and anytime we can connect our readers with books and get them excited, I think that's what we do. That's what we do, and Twitter allows us to do it even better.
Okay, so our time for this session is about up. Hopefully anyone that joined us for this session or that watches it later, you'll also be able to go back and see the closing remarks on our sessions page. And so thank you so much for joining us, Cynthia, Tina, and Shauna, my TLBFFs. Thank you for joining us, and I appreciate all 3 of you so much every day, and I certainly appreciate you today for coming and presenting this session with me at our Next Generation Librarians conference. So thank you all 3 very much, and we are going to go ahead and stop our broadcast now.